Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles. We're going to talk about Humble Games and the Humble Games debacle. Now, for those of you who don't know, Humble Games is part of, I believe, Humble Bundle. They publish indie games and they are now toast. Originally, they denied that they were going to be laying people off. They said they were going to restructure, but that restructure has led to everybody getting gone. So not even indie games are safe as the gaming industry implodes, right? So we've been talking about this. It was AAA titles because of the bloat, I believe, hundreds of millions of dollars to spend on games that people don't want or that just don't recoup their costs. We've seen a lot of high-profile misfires. And then I did a video, I think last week, talking about how people in the indie space were hurting, and now it's just like Humble Games just like fired everybody. I mean, it's just, this is just crazy. The gaming industry is imploding. And I feel like this, I mean, this isn't any consolation to anybody that has lost their job over the last year or two. But I feel like this kind of has to happen. This happened in the 80s. We just had too much subpar crap. And because of it, everybody suffered. And there was a cleansing fire. And then Nintendo came along and sort of reignited everything. But they were very strict with their quality control. They claim. Nintendo claims they were very strict with their quality control. But there are some really shitty NES games. I'm going to be honest. But there wasn't as much shovelware, garbageware, bloat as there was in the early 80s when like anybody could make an Atari game. And everybody was making Atari games. They had a Kool-Aid Man game. They had a Chase the Chuck Wagon Purina freaking dog food game. They had a bunch of Atari 2600 porn games. Yeah, those were a thing. Google them. I don't think I would get demonetized if I showed those games because you can't tell what the hell is going on anyway. Anyway, let's talk about Humble Games imploding. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Check out D-Res. We're actually going to divide the D-Res podcast segments up across two different channels. And I'll tell you why we're doing that, because we talk about games. We also do interviews with people working in the pop culture space, in the entertainment space. And we're going to be doing more paranormal news. Now, the pop culture interviews and the paranormal news are actually going to go on the main Clownfish TV channel. And then those episodes will get dumped into our podcast host. The video game news is actually going to go over to the Clownfish Gaming channel. So I posted one of those yesterday, so you can check that out if you want more gaming news. But I thought this was worth mentioning because we are talking about the video game industry imploding. Humble Games denies shutting down after reportedly laying off all staff. 36 employees said to be impacted by a decision as publisher says is going through another restructure. This is coming from Pocket Gamer, multiple outlets covering this. They said, yeah, we're just going to restructure, guys. We're going to restructure. It's fine. Everything's fine here. We're not laying anybody off. And then it turned out that, yeah, they're laying everybody off. They said that multiple staff members took to Twitter and LinkedIn to state that they had been informed of the redundancies today. This would have been yesterday. One said all employees were told the company was shutting down entirely. In a statement to gamesindustry.biz, a spokesperson denied the closure and claimed upcoming releases are not affected. Upcoming releases are not affected. All employees fired. Posting on Twitter, Humble Games said it had made the difficult but necessary decision to restructure its operations due to what it called a challenging economic times. PocketGamer.biz has reached out for clarification, and they said, yeah, this is a challenging period. Then we're going to talk about them fessing up that, they did fire everybody. This decision was not made lightly, they said. It involved much deliberation and careful thought with the goal of ensuring the stability and support of our developers and ongoing projects. Additionally, the restructuring of operations at Humble Games will have no impact on operations at Humble Bundle. We are acutely aware of the profound impact this decision has on our team members at Humble Games and deeply empathize with everyone affected. Our team's contributions have been world-class and invaluable, supporting the launch of our game since we started in 2017. We are committed to navigating this transition with as much empathy and understanding as possible. Supporting our development partners and assisting former team members remains our top priority. We're committed to making this transition as smooth as possible for everyone involved. Thank you. Challenging period, blah, 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 blah. So according to Wikipedia, this is how everything went down with Humble Games. So they started in February of 2017, and it was part of Humble Bundle. They said that they would begin to offer publisher services to developers across multiple platforms, including computer, console, mobile devices. They said such games such as a Hat in Time were given a presented by Humble Bundle label. Humble Bundle's lead for the publishing effort, John Paulson, said that developers are able to pick and choose a selection of options that Humble can offer, recognizing that few publishing models are able to meet the vastly different needs. They eventually rebranded as Humble Games in May 2020. In June 2020, Humble Bundle announced a Black Game Developer Fund. It aims to provide funding, production, and marketing support for Black gamers. But I guess that's over now. We're not doing that anymore because we're laying everybody off. They said July 23rd, 2024, Humble Games laid off its 36-person staff. Humble stated it was restructuring with the intent to continue operations amidst statements by former staff members. Company had been shut down. Steve Horowitz, president of parent company Ziff-Davis, told staff it tried to sell Humble Games on 2 occasions, citing long delays and rising costs before deciding on layoffs. Remaining projects will be completed by a third-party company called the Powell Group. I don't know. Former employees criticized Ziff-Davis, a media company, for not understanding how to properly run a game publisher. So Ziff-Davis, of course, owns IGN, which bought a whole bunch of gaming news websites, a whole bunch more gaming news websites just a couple of months ago, which led to layoffs in that space too. Ziff-Davis did own Electronic Gaming Monthly toward the end of its run, if I remember correctly. It was independently owned, and then they sold to Ziff-Davis. So if Ziff-Davis, owner of IGN, can't make a video game publisher work, what are you going to do? But these are some of the games they published. Hat in Time I've heard of. Forager, which was actually pretty good. Forager was actually very good. Slay the Spire I've heard of. Let me see here. They published a lot of games. Yeah, a lot of these. Minico's Night Market, heard of that. Yeah. It's not looking good, guys. It's not looking good to be a game developer at all, or a games journalist. So this is coming from GameDeveloper.com. Humble Games confirms layoffs amid restructuring, denies full shutdown. They're saying that they're not shutting down. They said in a statement provided to Game Developer, Humble Games said its games publishing label is undergoing restructuring. Rather than fully shutting down, the restructure involved much deliberation and careful thought with the goal of ensuring the stability and support of our developers and ongoing projects. Yeah, so it's like, this is crazy. Yeah, it's owned by IGN. I don't know what to say anymore. It's like I don't know how long IGN's going to be around. I think if any game website, news website lasts or survives this, it's going to be IGN. But IGN actually covers a lot of other different news too, right? And they have a pretty healthy YouTube channel. They have a pretty decent podcast network, I think, too. So they do other stuff. But yeah, they can't even publish. It's like they've got like infinite money, but 36 people. So here's the thing. We're talking 36 people. They're not the actual developers. They're just working for the publisher. So they have 36 people to get these indie developed games out the door. I mean, that was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, God, there are people. There are smaller staffs at companies like Image Comics, right? And like half of them wanted to form a union just to push papers around or whatever at Image Comics. But like there are bigger companies with bigger projects that don't have that many people on staff. So I think part of the reason, this is just my personal opinion, part of the reason why the video game industry is imploding is bloat. I think that's a big part of it. I think that you've got too many people, and too many of these people aren't actually bringing any value to the workplace, right? They're not actually making the games. Chief vibe officer, or your or whatever, the DEI officer, whatever. These people are not necessary to make the games. But again, when you're dealing with corporations, they got to have certain kinds of people or certain positions filled or whatever to get funding. And it's dumb, but I think it's really weird that we've got this publisher of indie titles, but it's actually probably the most corporate video game organization out there, news organization out there making these games. And now they're going poof. They're going poof. So good luck to everybody affected. I think that you can probably just publish games on your own now, and you can use Kickstarter, you can use Steam. I mean, there are lots of options out there, but it's even, man, the Embracer Group bought so many of these indie publishers and kind of ran them into the ground, and now IGN, they were going to do it, and now it's the whole thing's imploding. But I think, again, back to what I said before, I think it kind of needs to happen because we need another renaissance like we had with Nintendo. And I think what that is going to look like is a lot more checks and balances, a lot leaner teams, and, quality first, direct support from gamers, which means you're going to have to appeal to the gamers that you don't like, but that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take. And the good news is that a lot of the gatekeepers are going to get taken out with this too. So if you have a lot of people in the industry that are like, well, you can't publish games because you're not the right kind of person and I don't like you. Doesn't matter. They're going to be gone soon anyway, right? They're going to get cooked. So it doesn't really matter. I'm going to wrap this one up, guys. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Again, check out Derezzed. That's our other show, our podcast, and we're going to be ramping things up over there. We'll talk later.